What's up, man?
All right, thanks for being here. Quite a game. I'm gonna hit a couple different things first, if you don't mind. Today being Salute to Service Day, kind of want to personally dedicate this win to a really good friend of mine, a mentor who passed away recently from cancer, General Raymond T. Odierno, U.S. Army chief, and just personal man I admire very much. And to his wife, Linda, who is an awesome person, daughter Katie, who I've met, son Anthony, who I've met. He has 3 great children, 4 grandchildren, and just epitomized everything, just talk about leadership and everything it means to be the right kind of a person, Ray Odierno. Then I just want to share this with you, if I can get it on my phone, but General J.T. Thompson, who's a good friend of mine, was General Odierno's aide when we were over there in Iraq visiting. His favorite quote, George Patton's, or General O's favorite quote that he heard was George Patton, who once said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men that died. Rather, we should thank God such men lived." And I thank God for a friend like General O. And then beyond that, I want to give you General O's favorite quote, because I think it's really appropriate today, wearing this, in honor of all the men and women that serve and have served. He said this about the Army. He said, "The strength of our nation is our Army. The strength of our Army is our soldiers. The strength of our soldiers is our families. And this is what makes us Army strong." So, in honor of General O and to everybody that served, thank you for what you've done for us. All right, on that note, I could go through the game notes here, but what questions do you have?
Third time coming back from double digits. I mean, does it ever become like the norm, commonplace for you to come back from these wins?
No, it doesn't. It just makes me proud of the guys in a lot of ways. The fact that we have, we gave the game ball to faith, to faith and favor, and it's going to go up in the locker room to faith, and I think that's the star of the game, and all the guys that made the plays. I told the guys, I said, we had a bunch of guys playing out there, a bunch of guys that were playing, and we had a bunch of guys that were praying. And I promise you, I was doing some praying. And a lot of our fans are doing some praying too. But, we're just really with that, the idea that they stick together, they don't flinch. Kevin Zeiler was talking about it. He goes, these have been on teams, you're down 14 points like that, and you just kind of know the game's over, and not this team. It's like nobody even bats an eye. Shrug your shoulders and let's go. They come out and we make a point in the second half. We say we want to see the kind of team we're going to be in terms of, playing winning football, error-free football with all of our physicality and all of our execution. And the first thing that happens is the kick return goes back to the house. I mean, that's a gut punch, But we've been there before. If you go back to Denver, comes to mind. We had those gut punches. But the fact that our guys, just stand back up strong and just keep fighting, I think is what makes it special. But we would like to chase winning football. We would like to not. And the other thing about those plays, I just say this: the thing that we've been kind of blessed with through all this is that when we've made these mistakes, we haven't stayed in our coverage area, or we haven't been in the right leverage, or offensively we've had the penalties. We've overcome them, but we've also paid for them. We paid dearly for them with touchdowns. And, the idea is not to give your opponent anything. It's to take what you can, give away nothing. That's winning football. And we've done a lot of giving, but we've also done a lot of overcoming. Okay, I'd like to cut down on the giving. Even though it's Thanksgiving coming up, we'll be thankful for the overcoming, but we've got work to do still. So that turned out pretty good, actually.
Is that a T-shirt, John?
Yeah, it could be.
John, what defensively were they doing that sort of gave you issues, and can you talk about some of the adjustments you made to counter it? Because once the second half, your offense on every drive pretty much was going down the field.
I don't want to take anything away from them, because they have a really good defense. I mean, they're playing stout and in there like they do. I think over time, the idea for us was to keep them on the field. We need to get first downs, keep them on the field. We felt like if we were able to keep them on the field, we'd be able to extend, and then we'd be able to get a rhythm and execute. We just weren't able to keep them on the field enough in the first half. So it was our lack of execution, really, and their execution that got us off the field. So we just couldn't really extend those drives and kind of wear them down just a little bit, which is what we were hoping to be able to do.
John, I know Lamar looked short a couple times in that first half, but was the response to maybe throw some of those quick hitting RPOs or wide receiver screens a response to just how off the cornerbacks are playing out wide?
Well, there were different ones. I mean, some of those were a response to zero coverage. They came out and they were blitzing us, so you want to get the ball outside. You saw later We got some big plays off of those. Early we didn't. One thing, Lamar's got a lot of offense in his hands. I mean, don't think he's not in control of this thing. He's in control, and he's got options, and he makes choices. And most of the time they look great. Sometimes they don't look great, and you go, whoa, what was that play? It's like, well, he was trying something there. He saw something. It's in the system, and that's what quarterbacks do, and he does a great job of that. And, some things work, some things don't. But I think that's kind of more what you're talking about there with that.
Coach, give up 2 big plays on the Vikings, there been 2 drives, then you cut back on that. What was the key to the adjustments that you guys?
We just talked to the guys, and the guys knew. I didn't have to say a word to them. They were, just do your job. Do your job. You don't have to do somebody else's job. We don't have to come out of the middle of the field. We already knew that's we call it the attack play. They came up as the attack play. We know it's a deep shot. We should have been back there waiting for it, So we calmed down a little bit, but they caught us and got us discombobulated just a little bit there, and we let the ball get behind us. So we know it shouldn't happen. And then, we were in man coverage there, and they ran a little crack toss, and we didn't get the support we needed to put the edge on it, which we work on really hard, but we just didn't get it done. And those 2 plays, they can be played a lot better, but they cost us, 14 points basically. So.
John, it seemed like the tackling overall was better, and there was more gang tackling. Is that something you guys have talked about, and did you see it that way?
Yeah, gang tackling is a function of everybody being in a good place and forcing it back to your help. We did a much better job of that, especially in zone coverage. Our guys are where they're supposed to be. They weren't chasing routes as much as they were in there. They were relating to routes, and balls came across or whatever. And we had an edge we had a front side edge or a back side edge. We had a point man. We had a pursuit man, and so we were able to cup the ball and tackle. And I thought guys, they tackled center mass a lot better than they had been in the past, and did a good job with that.
You went 4 on 4th down a number of times. How tough was the first one? It's that 4th and 5, I think, from the 46. To go for that situation.
How tough was it? Help me out when it was exactly.
I think you were down by 14 at the time, and it was early in the second
Yeah.
half.
It was early it was in the second quarter?
The second half.
Second half.
Third quarter.
Oh, yeah, third quarter. And what play did we run? We ran the sweep play. Yeah. It wasn't hard because I just felt like you just count possessions and you just say to yourself, especially we're on midfield somewhere.
Yeah.
Basically just said, we got to get points here. We can't afford to be punting the ball right here. We can't give it back to them, and that's really the bottom line. And Greg thought he had a good play. So, but at that point in time, it was just like, hey man, we got to get back in this thing. I do trust our guys. I trust our guys to make plays, to make blocks. You got Lamar. I thought our running backs played great today. Don't you think? Our running backs really stepped it up today and played great football. I could sit here and talk about everybody. The offensive line, they started wearing those guys down. We ran the ball to win the game at the end. And we made chunk plays. Lamar was able to sit in there with some time. He even got sacked late in the game, but he didn't get flustered. And then Marquise made a couple of huge plays. Everybody, Bateman had some plays, right? Duvernay. Guys can't, Pat Ricard was responsible for 1 drive all himself, basically, almost, right? In the passing game. So those are the things that, that goes all into that faith in the ball. That's what all goes into that, those guys doing those things.
John, quick turnaround with the game on Thursday. How healthy did you guys come out of this game?
We came out of it pretty healthy, except we had one major blow. DeShon Elliott is going to be out. He has, I think, a torn pec and a torn bicep. So unfortunately, and he had, the guy's so courageous, he gutted it out through all that, but he's going to be out. So that's a major loss for us.
Out for the season?
I believe so, yeah.
And John, I know a lot of people deserve credit, but as you know, with Lamar, he's always kind of a focal point of criticism or success. What is it about him that allows this team to be able to come back from such large steps?
Well, dude, I think his poise. He doesn't get flustered. He always he sees the field so well, and he gives every play the maximum opportunity to be successful, if that makes sense. And then he's just good. He's just really good. He can make the plays. He's capable of making the plays. So that's what I notice.
Can he run too much when you look down and see 20, 21 runs?
I don't know. We won.
Unsustainable though.
Whatever.
Long-term?
No long-term sustainability observations. It's not even relevant. Would you rather not run 21 times today and lose the game? Crazy to even suggest that. So it's not even a relevant question to be answered. We don't plan on running them any number of times. We plan on running as much, throwing as much, handing it off as much, blitzing as much, playing zone coverage as much as you think it takes to win the game in the game. And that's really what you do. So the sustainability questions are like, man, life is short, run to the ball, trying to win the game.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Good question, Nestor. I appreciate that. It is a good question.